How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another Rise of Kingdoms video. I'm your host Korriban Gaming, and for today's commander guide we will be talking about Saladin. That's right, Saladin is one of the best cavalry commanders inside of the whole game, and his assortment of skills makes him really great for rallying cities. And on top of that, he's also one of the cavalry commanders that has a bit more tankiness to him as opposed to just straight up nuking. With his skill set, he is also a really great counter to Richard, so let's take a look at his skills. So his first skill, Hold Fast, deals direct damage up to a maximum of 1400 direct damage factor to the target, then reduces target's march speed by up to 30% and decreases healing effects received by up to 40% for the next 5 seconds at max level. And if you expertise him, his direct damage factor goes all the way up to 1700. That is a really huge nuke. And then he can reduce the target's march speed by up to 50%. That is half of the target's march speed. And also he also decreases their healing by half for the next 5 seconds. So expertising him is not really necessary. You can use your Saladin at 5551, especially for those who are not doing city rallies with Saladin. So a 5551 Saladin is still really powerful and is definitely usable in combat if you're a free-to-play player who doesn't have that many golden hits to max him out. Now the second skill, Gulams, increases cavalry units attack by up to a maximum of 20%, defense also by up to a maximum of 20%, and march speed by 5% at max level. Third skill, Bond of Fate, it reduces skill damage taken by up to a maximum of 30% and counter attack damage taken by up to a maximum of 20%. Last skill, Generosity, increases damage dealt to city garrisons by up to a maximum of 15%, but Saladin's army is unable to plunder resources while attacking other governor cities. So this skill is only for specific to city rallying. If you're rallying a flag, this skill won't take effect, or if you're rallying a pass, it won't take effect either. So this skill is really only useful if you're going to be using Saladin for a city rally, but other than that you can completely do without this skill and you would have your Saladin be at almost 80% of his full power, because the only thing you're missing is the expertise right here. Nonetheless, even without his expertise, as mentioned before, he's still a really powerful commander. Now let us take a look at the talent builds. Alright, so I do not have a level 60 Saladin right here, so I'm going to be using the ROK talent builder to go through the talent builds. Alright, so the first one here, this build is for rallying. Okay, so Saladin is obviously really great for rallying, okay, regardless of whether or not, even though he doesn't have any skills that are specific to rallying objectives and garrisons and passes in general, but his talent tree makes, and the other skills that he has, makes him a really good rally leader. So for this build, I've chosen to go with a little bit of the cavalry tree, all of these, Dragon Saber, and then you have increasing the health of your cavalry units, and of course this one which increases your damage dealt to archer units. And from the support tree, you obviously want to get Rejuvenate. This is a must get regardless of whichever build you're using, because it just allows Saladin to stack up so much rage generation, and you can just keep firing off your first skill, which is not only a nuke but also reduces your target's healing by half, okay, or 40% if you're not maxed out. So you also have this loose formation here to reduce the skill damage taken by Saladin, and of course here from the conquering tree we have all of this to reduce I forgot what this does, let me check. Alright, so you have your Tear of Blessing, which reduces the amount of troops dying when you're rallying a city, and of course you have Entrench, which increases all damage dealt to strongholds garrison, and damage taken from stronghold garrisons is also reduced at the same time. This is also another very important skill to pick up, which is Buckler Shield, but you obviously will pick this up on your way towards Entrenched. So this is the rally skill build, rally talent tree that I would go for Saladin. Sorry. Okay, next up, if you are rallying cities in general and not just objectives, I will give up this skill right here. In exchange, I will get the this skill here, which is your Meteor Shower. Why is this? Because when attacking garrisons, normal attacks have a 10% chance to increase to all damage dealt on the next turn by 10%. This is specific for cities, so only do this build if you're only going to use your Saladin for rallying cities. Against other objectives, this skill is useless and will not take effect. So do not pick up this skill unless you are using your Saladin specifically for rallying cities. And yeah, in my opinion, I would still stick with the regular rallying build, whether you are rallying objectives or cities, because this build is still really strong. And unless you like to reset your talents every single time you rally a city or when you rally an objective, I would suggest you just stick to this build. So the city build does give you more damage when you are rallying the city, but it is 5 skill points wasted whenever you are not using him for a city rally. Next up, we'll go through the open field build. This is, in my opinion, the best open field build you can possibly get for Saladin. You have your rage regen from rejuvenate right here, loose formation to reduce skill damage, buckler shield to reduce counter attack damage, and then you're grabbing all of these goodies from the cavalry tree. If you want a little bit more march speed, you can pick up this march speed instead of this rage regen here, but for me, I prefer to have a little bit more rage generation so that he can fire off his primary skill more quickly. And of course, you have this to reduce even more skill damage, and this one also reducing normal damage you are taking from all attacks. So this is, in my opinion, the best open field talent tree build for Saladin. Now next up, again similar to the Charles Martel guide that I put up a few days back. Alright, Saladin is actually a really good counter for Attila rallies. And what do you pair him with? You pair him with Takeda. Yes, I know this might sound like a really funny combination, and I know Attila has been nerfed already, but Attila is still a really strong commander inside the game, and that is why I have decided to include this inside of this guide video, because you do need a specialized build to deal with Attila if you're going to defend him. If you're going to try and defend against him. So in order to get the best positive trait possible, you want to use this build. And this build, it cuts out all of the skill damage reduction. You can see here with Takeda, you're getting some healing as well. So I've chosen to put these in, and I've chosen to take out loose formation. You can see here I've also decided not to spec on the right side of the cavalry tree, because this one gives you skill damage reduction, which is not what you want, whereas this one gives you normal attack reduction, so you want to take this instead. Of course, you still have your buckler shield, which reduces counter attack damage, and then you're picking up all these small goodies along the way. I did not pick up anything for the march speed tree because you don't need any march speed when you are defending. So all of these small little buffs that you can get for your cavalry, I've decided to pick them all up. So Saladin, this build paired with Takeda defends really well against an Attila Takeda rally. Now moving on to the last part of the video, which is pairings. What should you pair Saladin with? If you're defending against an Attila Takeda rally, then you should pair him with Takeda, with Saladin being the primary commander. Alright, but other than that, if you're using him for open field, you can pair him with a Cao Cao, because I guess he pairs quite well with Cao Cao, because Cao Cao reduces cavalry defense by 10%, but Saladin provides him the tankiness that he needs to overcome this defense reduction. So both of them work really well together. You can also pair with Minamoto for maximum skill damage, but in my opinion, the best pairing for him would be to pair him with Genghis Khan. You can put Genghis primary to fire off your skills much more, and you can still get the tankiness from Saladin's skills, but keep in mind that if you do that, people are more likely to target a Genghis Khan on the open field as compared to a Saladin. So if you do that, be prepared for your Genghis Khan to go down quickly. But that being said, with Saladin's tanky skills, it does provide Genghis Khan with some amount of tank so that he can last a bit longer on the field. If you want this pairing to last even longer, you can choose to put Saladin in front as your primary commander, and then put Genghis Khan at the back. The trade-off is that you don't get as much damage from Genghis Khan as you like, because Genghis Khan, after all, with the skill tree, he is going to generate much more rage. And of course, Genghis Khan, he only has 950 rage requirement as opposed to Saladin. So if you really want him to be firing off the nukes and the skills, you want more damage in exchange for tankiness, then put Genghis Khan primary. But if you want your march to be a little bit more tanky, then you can put Saladin primary and Genghis Khan secondary. Okay, so what other commanders you can pair with Saladin? You can actually pair him with Takeda for open field as well. Takeda also works really well with Saladin for the open field, though not as good for garrisoning against Attila Takeda rallies in my opinion. He's still usable, but I generally would prefer pairing Saladin with Genghis Khan or a Minamoto if you actually have those two commanders. right? So for epic pairings, this is for the free-to-play players. If you only have a 5551 Saladin or only have one max legendary, which just so happens to be Saladin, you can pair him with Pelagius, and you can make a really super tanky cavalry march. Pelagius actually gives quite a lot of stats to your cavalry units as well. This defense 15% is huge. On top of that, you get the healing from Pelagius also. So if you pair with Pelagius, prepare for a super tanky cav march that your opponent would not expect. I will not pair him with Belisarius because Belisarius is really not that good. Belisarius is meant for a hit and run army, so you're not really trying to stand there and tank the damage. You're just trying to get in there with Belisarius, do as much damage as possible and get out, which is the opposite of what Saladin does. So I wouldn't pair him with Belisarius if you can, if you have a Pelagius. And for Bebas, Bebas has a nice AoE skill here, but of course you are wasting his no escape skill if you're not rallying a city, and yeah, you are wasting one skill of Bebas. So Bebas only has 3 good skills that he if you pair him with Saladin, but then again it's still really strong because of his AoE damage. So you can pair him as a secondary to your Saladin if you like to, even though he is still not of a good pair as compared to Pelagius. Another crazy commander that you can actually pair him with for the open field or for rallies is actually YSG. Yes guys, you can pair your Saladin with YSG. Put Saladin as primary for the tankiness, and then you can put YSG as your secondary to pump out the damage. And don't forget, YSG has this skill here, which, no, not this skill here, Destiny, which increases your active skill damage by 50%. That's extra 50% damage on your Saladin's first skill nuke. So 1700, 50% of that, it's 850. So 1700 plus 850, you get a total of 2550 damage factor for your Saladin's first nuke, and then you get your YSG skill damage as well, which is absolutely crazy. So you can deal a crazy amount of damage with that, and at the same time you can have a tanky march as well because of Saladin's skills and talents. So Saladin YSG is actually a really good pair, not only for the open field but also for rallying as well. Last but not least, you can pair your Saladin with a Freddy if you're going to go for city rallies. Why is this so? Because Freddy does a lot of additional damage as well. On top of that, Freddy also has some healing, which allows your Saladin to tank even longer. And not to mention, his 2 best skills for city rallying are his last 2 skills: increases all damage by 10% when attacking other governance cities, and of course you get an increase of your maximum troop capacity as well. You can also pair him with Julius, okay, increase it, and that just makes your Saladin army super tanky because you get because of Julius's second skill right here, and of course his first skill increasing your attack and your damage will just make it such that your Saladin will deal out lots and lots of skill damage based off his first skill. And of course Julius's 3rd and 4th skill, also his best skills for city rallying, increasing your maximum troop capacity just like Freddy, and of course City Killer, which reduces your enemy's defense when you are attacking a city. And the last but also the very best pair that you can pair him with for city rallying is of course Mehmet, the king of all city ralliers out there. Right, so Mehmet will just deal a extremely large amount of damage. It's just insane here. You get an attack bonus and skill damage bonus as well, and then you also have your extra damage factor here, and all of these troop capacity, good stuff. So if you have a Saladin and a Mehmet, you can pair them up together when rallying against cities, and they will work wonders. Now I would put Mehmet as primary and Saladin as secondary if you're planning to do so, but for other commanders like Julius and Freddy, you can put your Saladin as primary and these commanders as secondary. So that is basically it for my ultimate Saladin guide. I hope you guys have learned something today, and hope you guys have found the talent trees useful. If you have, be sure to leave it down in the comments below if it works for you, and maybe share a screenshot with me of you having some nice juicy traits with those talent trees. Till the next time, this has been your host Korriban Gaming. Peace out.